Hello y'all! Today we are going to be doing a Peggle tier list video of every single character from Peggle. My name is Michael, I'm the other half of the GF2, and this is my first upload, and I'd like to say thank you for Nate for introducing me to Peggle, and as we would say, she peg on my goal till she... Alright, now before we get into what y'all are all excited for, I'm going to quickly explain how I'm going to be rating each and every character. First, we will be starting out by giving a brief description of each character, and I'll show a little video about what their ability does. And then I'll be rating them on two things: how useful their ability is, and how fun to use their ability is. Let's get right on to this. First, we're going to start with the OG, the Unicorn. I don't actually know the guy's name. I could have searched it up, but we're starting with the Unicorn. So basically, the Unicorn makes it so you see a guide where your ball will bounce next. So it's very helpful to plan out your plays. Overall, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for usefulness, as it does show you where the ball is going to go next, so you can plan out what you're about to do. But I'll give it a 4 out of 10 for fun to use, because although it is helpful, it's not really fun to use since it's just like a guide. It's not visually appealing at all or anything like that. Anyway, moving to the next character. Alright, moving on, our next character is the Chipmunk. Basically, when you hit the Chipmunk's green peg, it spawns a second ball. Now, depending on the placement is how much value we'll really get out of this ability. So for this, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10 for usefulness, since it is reliant on the placement of the green peg, and I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for fun to use, because if the peg is in the right place and you hit it, it could have a satisfying chain reaction type effect where you're getting massive points. It's just visually appealing, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for fun to use. Next up, Cat Tut. I can't lie, I don't like this ability at all. This might be biased, I can't lie. If you like Cat Tut, shout out to you, I'm not hating. But basically, when you hit Cat Tut's green peg, it spawns a pyramid around the free ball collector thingy for 5 turns, making it easier for the ball to go in. Now, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for usefulness, since it does make the ball collector bigger, and you're able to get more free balls when you do miss a shot, or the shot just goes in and you get a free ball. But I'm giving this one a 2 out of 10 for fun to use. Half the time you don't even notice it, and there's no interactive or satisfying interactions to go along with this. So for this reason, I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. Sorry to the Cat Tut enjoyers. Next up, honestly, one of my favorite characters in Peggle, we're going with Splork. I absolutely love Splork's ability. When you hit the green peg, it causes an explosion that hits all pegs around the green peg that you just hit. For this one, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for usefulness, since once again it is reliant on the placement of the green peg, similar to the Chipmunk, and I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10 for fun to use. It's so satisfying when the green peg is rightly placed. You hit lots of orange pegs, all the pegs around it. It has a nice interactive animation, satisfying animation, and it's similar to the Flowers ability, which I really like and we'll get on into later in the video. I just love Splork, shout out Splork. Alright, the next character up is Claude. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But basically, when you hit Claude's green peg, it spawns 2 crab hands on both sides of the screen that almost act as bumper thingies from the pinball machines. This lasts for 3 turns. The player is able to control the little claws on the side to hit the ball. I love this ability. I love the visuals of Kled and all the stages within the ocean area. Although his ability is iffy to use. So for usefulness, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Half the time the ball actually misses the radius at which you can hit it with the pinball machine thingies. However, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for fun to use, because I like the interactive ability, since there aren't many of them in the game, and I love the design of these silly little hands. Anyway, let's get on to the next character. Alright, next up we have the Pumpkin Renfield. I literally have written in my script that it's too hard of an explanation to write, so I'm going to try my best to explain it. Basically, when you hit the green peg, your ball turns spooky, and then when it dies, another ball drops where the spooky ball died. It might be confusing. I'll place the video during this section to show how it works. It still might be confusing. Just give it a search up or play some Peggle. But anywho, I'm going to give usefulness A 6 out of 10 for this one. Once again, it's relying on location, such as the chipmunk or splork. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for fun to use. It's a very unique ability with lots of like playability and satisfying mechanics to it. It's just a unique ability and it's fun to use. So anyway, let's head on to the next character. Next up, we're talking about Tula. This is by far my favorite character. When you hit Tula's green peg, it causes all orange pegs in its radius to be hit. Although it's very slightly reliant on placement, I'm giving Tula's ability a 9 out of 10 for usefulness due to the fact that it hits most of all the green pegs around its area. And I'll give it a 10 out of 10 for fun to use because it is very satisfying to be able to hit up to 5 or 7 orange pegs at once with one singular ability. It also has a very nice animation. When you hit the orange pegs, it causes like flowers to spawn. Anyway, next character. The next character on our list is Warren. Warren's ability spawns a wheel that spins and gives you a random character's ability to use for a set amount of turns. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10 for usefulness, since you can get a possible goated ability such as the flowers we just went over, but I'm giving it a 1 out of 10 for fun to use. There's nothing new with this ability. It simply just reuses other characters' ability, and the whole time I was in this stage, I was just fiending to get out. I do not like this ability at all. It is useful though, but I just don't like it. On to the next character. The next character's ability we're going over is Lord Cinderbottom. When you hit Lord Cinderbottom's green peg, it makes it so the ball on the next turn is piercing and it adds a fiery effect to the ball. For this one, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for usefulness, as the piercing allows you to reach hard to hit orange pegs. I'll give this an 8 out of 10 for fun to use, as it has very visually appealing animations as well as a unique ability to play around with. On to our last character. Okay, our last character is Master Who. I do have unfortunate news, that being I have not gotten the opportunity to play Master Who myself, but I will try my best to explain his ability through the wiki page. I searched up videos to try and watch what this ability does. It's very confusing, even with the explanation. I think it's confusing. Basically, when you hit his green pegs, according to wiki, it improves the shot that you made. I'm not sure what that means, so I'm not going to be rating this one, but from the videos I watched, it looked really fun to use. But anywho, on to our conclusion. I'm sorry that was underwhelming for the last character, but on to our conclusion. If you made it all the way to the end and watched every character's rating, I want to say thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to this channel. I'll put his name on the screen right now. I used his channel in order to get all the footage for getting like the characters' abilities, like footage and all that, so I'd like to give a shout out to him. I'd also like to give a shout out to the GF2. You know, it's my first upload, and I just love Nate for introducing me to Peggle, and I just want to say thank you. And if you want to subscribe, you can. If you don't want to, that's all good. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.